Hello and a very warm welcome to Rajya Sabha Television. You're watching The Big Picture with me, Frank Razam Pereira. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has called for measures to prevent agro-brain drain and attract educated youth to take up farming as a profession. He opined that the future of Indian agriculture lies in the hands of technology-driven farming practices powered by well-informed and modern-minded farmers. Inaugurating the National Dialogue on Indian Agriculture towards 2030 through video conference, Vice President Naidu said, agriculture is the pillar of India's ecology, culture and civilization. He also called for changing focus from food security to nutrition security. The Vice President stressed on the need to reduce agri-input costs and called for promoting organic farming in a big way. Emphasizing the need to move away from chemical farming, he said, organic farming is beneficial for all stakeholders, including the farmers, the consumers, and the environment. He called for making organic agriculture a mass movement not only for a wealthy nation, but also a healthy nation. In this edition of The Big Picture, we will analyze how to prevent agro-brain drain. Joining me on the program today are S.K. Malhotra, Agriculture Commissioner, Department of Agriculture, Cooperation and Farmers Welfare, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, and Yatish Rajawat, Senior Journalist. Thank you to my panelists for joining me on this edition of The Big Picture. S.K. Malhotra, let me start the program with you first. As far as the issue of agro-brain drain is concerned, how serious is it? How do we address it?
Oh, well, as you are aware that here migration of the skilled manpower is a common, I should say, this is happening all over the world. But here we need to see that why this is happening. This is happening because they are attracted towards the developed countries through better incentives, scholarships, sometimes better services are also available there and better facilities are also there. But on the another side, I will say that it is also a boon for us because we have a large population and we have a long list of best institutions which are available in the country, and human resource is also available in our country, which is really par excellence, I should say. So here we are also earning through these remittance, and many of our experts, they are also providing their services outside. But the point is, that brain drain, is it happening? Yes, in some cases it is happening because Honorable Vice President also mentioned yesterday when inauguration program was held for a national dialogue on Indian agriculture towards 2030. Then he mentioned that yes, we really need to stop this brain drain. But in some cases it is happening, in some cases it is not happening. So here I have a list of few areas where brain drain is happening. I'm just mentioning but we should boast also on another point that yes, we have a kind of expertise where worldwide there is a demand. Highly skilled persons. You take example of landscape gardening. Most of the experts world over, they are Indians. Landscape gardening means if anybody has to establish the lawn, turf grass lawn, etc., then he will have to be dependent on that Indian expert. Then again, another part which relates to this tractor and machineries, and there are many people who are, I should say that they are very good drivers for these machineries. So they are also providing such kind of services outside. Then apart from this, there are few more areas. This is a nursery raising, biofertilizers, biopesticide making, precision farming, and there are many scientists which are highly expert in the area of biotechnology, agriculture engineering, dairy technology, food processing, horticulture. So these are the areas where our experts, they are providing their wonderful services in abroad also. But now the time has come that yes, they need to come back. That there are several examples that now people, they have started coming back to our own country where they are providing their own services, and new startups have been started because they are now utilizing that knowledge, experience whatsoever they have gained outside. Now they are utilizing, but it is a good sign. And I know that several startup owners, they are in touch with me and they are extending those technologies for betterment of our agriculture. So it is a good sign And
Right.
here, yeah, these are the few points just I wanted to mention because you raised the issue of this brain drain in agriculture. So yes, these are the core areas where India has its strength.
Absolutely. And I think, you very well summed it up there as far as where our core strengths lie and how we are losing out as far as, the brains are concerned and how the rest of the world is making use of our Indian brains. All right. So since we're here then, Yatish Rajawat, let's also try and understand, like SK Malhotra just pointed out about how there are new startups in the field of agriculture, how they are doing really well. There is emergence of new technology as well. But how do we, broaden the scope? How do we ensure that the scale is increased?
Let me address the problem, Frank, here first. When the Vice President was referring to the brain drain, he was referring to the brain drain not just from India to abroad. He was referring to the brain drain from agriculture sector per se, and rural sector to either urban sector or from agriculture to services and manufacturing. Now, he was referring to also to the fact that the next generation of farmers do not want to take up agriculture because it is no longer remunerative or can support the aspirations and the economics of a millennial anymore. Hence, and the reason for that obviously is that the uh, a hectare or two does not support a family which has aspirations similar to what a millennial would have it in the urban area. So there are three kinds of migrations happening. One is the migration which is happening between the poorer states and the richer state, which is say like from Bihar, West Bengal, Eastern UP to say the northern state like Delhi, parts of Haryana and Punjab. And there is another. The second migration is this migration which is happening within the state, which is between the rural agriculture dominated households to urban area. And the third is the migration, which is the migration out of agriculture per se to because the family can no longer sustain itself from agriculture to either a services job, which is in an urban area, or to a manufacturing job that is in a peri-urban or a small city area. These are the three different migrations which are happening, which is leading to drain of not just brains out of agriculture, but also labor out of agriculture. And that is what the vice president is referring to. And he connected dots here. One is the fact that agriculture is not sustainable enough and it does not create economic value for the family anymore. And second aspect is that the ecological disaster which is happening because of certain practices in agriculture, which is larger usage of fertilizer, pesticides, and water, which is leading to desertification in certain areas, creating dark zones in places in Punjab, Haryana, and even in Western UP now. And that is again creating its own this thing that the next generation of those farmers or their families would not be able to do agriculture anymore because it is not possible to do agriculture on that land which has turned into a desert. So these are the
Right.
three dots that the vice president was referring to. He's not talking about just the fact of India to abroad and others. The most important part which we have to understand and which we have to now incorporate in policy making is the aspect that we used to think that the agriculture is enough for a rural family and it is enough for a farmer. We have still not incorporated a small fact that a farmer's next generation or his children has the same aspiration as the urban youth. Because of the penetration of mobile phone, the aspiration of a rural youth and a urban youth is almost similar, whether it is about the lifestyle or about the quality of lifestyle or clothing or their aspiration about how they want to live.
Right.
Hence, therefore, policies have to come together to address those aspirations. And that is how sustainable agriculture can be created. There will be migration, there will be people will move out of agriculture, it will support lesser number of people, but whoever it is supporting, it has to support at higher income levels. That
Got
is
it.
the point that we need to understand.
Absolutely. All right. So, P. Manivel, Principal Scientist, Plant Breeding, Indian Council of Agricultural Research, joins us on the phone line right now. Dr. Manivel, as far as agriculture is concerned, how do we make it more sustainable? How do we make it more lucrative so that we don't see people moving out of agriculture, be it from rural India to the urban centers, or from India to abroad?
First of all, thank you very much for calling. And we have to be first to understand what is agriculture, what is agribusiness. The agriculture and agribusiness are totally different things. Agribusiness is making profit out of it and do the things. Whereas agriculture, the word itself says culture. Culture means we have a culture of living. So we have a culture of living together naturally in the natural environment. There I get all my animals, fish, poultry, and all things together. We will be living as a family. As a one depend on other, one substitute other, one coordinate with other. That was the life, and the very peaceful life was we were having in the beginning. Now this system is agriculture is seeing in the perspective of agribusiness, that is profitable business. If you see the whole history of our Indian agriculture in 100 years back, whatever we have so far attained is the self-sufficiency in the agriculture produce as well as products and all. But in later stages, this has self-sufficiency as extended for the export and all. The moment we think for export and all these things, the money comes out. Then the money factor, once it comes, then it is this agriculture is entering into the business act. So whenever it is take the business, you take into the business round, then there is always a different perspective. That is, if I put 1 rupees, how much I will take it from out. But in due course of time, in present situation, the labor's availability, we can say the agriculture farm workers availability is decreasing, and as a result, the farming itself by the farmer is a very big question one. Number 2, the animals which we had before independence is the population is 1:3 or 1:5 in a village. Now if you go and count any villages, this ratio is also came down. So as a result, if you are talking about organic agriculture, which we are doing earlier naturally, then again we depend on the animal products like cow dung and all other things. So if you consider all together, agriculture is a totally different scenario and agribusiness different scenario. Whatever we are discussing here, how we enter, already my two speakers have said that people are not interested to come because of this is not a remunerative business. So if you want to make this as a remunerative business, there are 3 points. Number 1, the input cost should be reduced sustainably, not for the 1 year or 2 years. It should be continuously. I should be able to get the input lower cost with lower manpower and all. That means the efficiency of whatever work I am doing should be increased. Number 2, I should able to fix my own price as an agriculture farmer, because everybody is fixing their prices. This is the one particular product for anything, any household, they fix it based upon the manufacturing. The farmer has to give a chance to fix the price. Number 3, the policy issues. Policy issues should also take, here we cannot distinguish agriculture and as well as the farmer separate. We have to take together because one is dependent on other. And this is the way the present situation. But the change whichever is come. Yesterday's Vice President said 4 important points, that food production, nutrition security, sustainability of natural resources, that is land, water and forest and organic cultivation. Then third point is climatic change, and 4th point is farm and farm workers. So if you put all together into one in agriculture, then definitely we have to start working with the land, how to get rid of our land back to our original level of health, body health. So until unless we have a bit fit physical body, we cannot think it. So like that, until unless we have a very strong soil, that is a very fertile and efficient soil, Agriculture cannot be done anything. So this is the point we have to start, and we have to further build it up, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. So several aspects there brought out by P. Manivel, several things that need to be put in place really as far as if we want to see robust development and growth in the agri sector. Talking about robust growth and development in the agri sector, S.K. Malhotra, let's also talk about, technology. What is the kind of technology that is available, and how do we ensure that our agri sector is more productive?
Well, yes, I agree with Yatish ji also, because initially when I started my observations, which I explained here, those were related to the global perspective, which I mentioned. But yes, the true picture is that it is also now this, shift of this skilled manpower is also happening from one state to another state. So first we need to analyze that why this is happening. This is happening because the agriculture may not be much lucrative in some places, and they may not be getting the good price for the labor whatsoever they are putting into. So what we need to see that why this is happening. So there are several challenges. I am going to link it with the technology question which you have just put before me, because there are several challenges which have been identified. And Honorable Vice President also mentioned that the biggest challenge is that we need to maintain this food security. We need to address the issue of food security and also the nutritional security. So here now we need to address food grains, pulses, as well as the issue related to these horticulture crops, because horticulture crops are ultimately going to address the issue of nutritional security. And further, it is if farmers they adopt the diversification in agriculture, definitely it will increase and it will make the agriculture more lucrative, and they will get the more income out of it. Then another point relates to the sustainability, because sustainability means natural resources are also declining. Climate change effect has also been observed. So under such challenging situation, how we can make agriculture more lucrative. So I want to link it with the technology now, because there is a need that now technology is required to be adopted at large scale. And now farmers, they need to see that there are some very, technologies are there which are well proven and which are very much contributing for increasing the productivity in the per unit area. Definitely it will contribute towards the more income. So farmers, they need to adopt poultry, dairy, fisheries, horticulture. These all are the allied activities which are required to be taken along with the high technology, to the high tech systems. Either it is a protected cultivation or it is a bee farming. Even solar farming is also now coming into picture. Then again, food processing is also there. So these all are the new areas where I think we need to promote them, and farmers as well as young farmers, women, they need to come forward, and they can pick up those technology, and further they can make agriculture more lucrative. And even Indian Council of Agriculture Research, which is more responsible for providing the quality education in the country through state agriculture universities, they have also started new program. We call it Student Ready,
right,
where now through capacity building, these are the programs which have been started, and where the young people, young generation, they are now being educated, that so that we can keep them attached with agriculture in the rural sector. And industry needs to come forward in the rural sector, so that employability will also be there, and cold storages, infrastructures, these all things are now being established near the villages only, so that employment, they will get the more employment, and some kind of entrepreneurial skills are also now being put into. Either it is a micro irrigation, or it is I should say biofertilizers making, pesticide making. There are several other related industries which can I think work as a source for more income by the youngs. So these all are the areas which just I have mentioned into it.
Absolutely. So Yatish, talking about collaboration, how important is the industry's input and collaboration as far as agriculture is concerned? And what about international collaboration? We worked with Israel. We've seen some positive development on that front as well. How do we take that up a notch?
So there are three aspects here, Frank. One is the fact that we need to build techniques to increase productivity within our existing ecosystem. Second is that we need to learn some of these techniques from other countries which have done better than us, and Israel has particularly done better with the techniques in saline-based cultivation or low water cultivation or almost zero water cultivation. They've also been very successful because of their ecology. They've been successful in producing horticulture in artificial environment, which could be a poly house or So these are techniques that we need to learn from other countries. But more importantly, I think there are other, like hydroponics, for instance, is taking off, particularly in urban farming. These are techniques which are coming into the country, and there has to be a way that the farmer has to understand them, adopt them, and then deploy them. Uh, it is almost like a herd phenomena that farmers never are not always pioneers of techniques or new crops. Uh, Typically, a whole village has to adopt a particular technique for it to be accepted. For instance, a single farmer in a village cannot start horticulture. If he starts that, other villages will take away his produce, simply steal it away. So therefore, there is something called as teaching the herd how to run, and that is something that is very important for making
Sure.
new techniques acceptable. And that is the role that the government has for a long time given to the Krishi Vigyan Kendras and the ICRs and the agriculture universities in the country.
Hmm.
Fortunately, unfortunately, this role and this thing has not kept up with the scale that it has to be brought into, and it has not reached a stage where it is we can say 100% successful in delivering new techniques to the farmer. And the
Right.
adoption rates for new techniques have been traditionally lower, particularly in poorer areas where the farmers does not have the capital. Because see,
Sure.
adoption of any new technology or technique, whether it is coming from abroad or it is coming from our own agriculture center,
Hmm.
needs a commitment of additional capital. I
Right.
mean, if I want to say try a new crop, I need to buy the seeds. It's capital. So whenever capital comes into consideration, we've seen that while agri credit continues to grow higher than GDP, but the impact of agri credit actually has not led to a rise of either productivity or income. So there is
Sure.
this anomaly which is still existing in our systems, and this anomaly continues to perpetuate itself without a breakthrough.
Right. Okay. So, P. Manivel, let me come across to you once again. So, since you are talking about techniques, what is the level of innovation we are seeing as far as techniques are concerned? Is there something new? And also, as far as our methods are concerned, do you believe that we need to take a relook at our methods and bring in something new?
As far as technology is concerned, as Dr. Malhotra mentioned, we are with the latest technologies which can able to produce farmers giving a highest yield and other things, starting from a variety to the end processing and the post-harvest processing also. As our other speaker was mentioning that the role of KVKs and the dissemination of technology. This is another portion we have to be think. Our Honorable Vice President has mentioned that the Land to Lab program was successful. In that process, the reaching of technology from the scientist field to the farmers, as compared to earlier period, now we are very fast because of our modern, thanks to all the what is called latest equipments, including the WhatsApp and all. So that way, technology is already available. Number one. The dissemination technology is also nowadays going very faster. Nowadays, even farmers and the entrepreneurs are seeing the YouTubes and the latest technology. They come forward to the research organization. This is what we want to know, like that. And the facilities are available. That is first part. Second portion is, as far as the production is concerned, if you tell to our farmers, Indian farmers are very smart enough, whichever you want to make, they will ready to produce and give you. For instance, I will take now this point of time, COVID situation 19, the ashwagandha has picked up very well. Each and every corner of the farmers of India is asking about me that, sir, I want seeds of ashwagandha, I want to cultivate and technologies like that. And it is being cultivated almost all the states, at least in this particular point of time, for some quantity of areas, one way or other. So this is the awareness is going very faster. So technology is not an issue at least. And of course, whatever foreign technology we are taking or even the technology which is adopted by the developed countries always needs a localization. And
Right.
many times our farmers are itself like a scientist. They made modification according to their level and they do the better work including the farm implements as well as the every aspect of their life as far as agriculture is concerned. And the third important point which I want to make it here is that as far as the technology is concerned, the whatever technology we are giving, and there is a gap between the technology which is given by the university or the researchers in the farmers field.
Sure.
That gap, if we reduce, even in the available land area, we can able to sustainably keep the production activities.
Right.
So for that process only, there are some amount of earlier farmers, or we can say that the earlier generation farmers were dependent on only the local technologies are like that. But now, the latest farmers who are coming, most of the degree holders, those who have studied in engineering also coming into the farming and taking 15 acres,
Sure.
20 acres like that. So the small holding of farmers now it is becoming a big holding like 15 acres, 20 acres, even 50 acres and 100 acres also coming availability into that. So
Right, points
that
taken.
That is why now our Indian agriculture is taking another dimension. That is
Sure.
like on a king's period. When the king was there, he used to have the 500 hectares or 1,000 hectares. So he will be cultivating the things and the material has been stored in a common place like that. This is coming now. The requirement of this point is the support from the policy makers and the government, and for the particularly for the producted material has to be stored in a proper way, like starting from cold storage and processing, post harvesting. The point
Absolutely.
which I want to clearly mention here is that most of the material we are exporting raw material into the foreign countries. It is value added and coming back with multiple tagged prices to us. This can effectively taken up at our country itself by our own young farmers and entrepreneurs, and we can able to serve the, not only our country to the whole nation.
Absolutely.
And,
All right.
whole world we can able to serve the country.
Got
And
it.
these are the points.
Absolutely. All right. Points taken. So we'll have to leave it at that. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me on the program and putting things into perspective. For us, that's it on this edition of The Big Picture. What's coming out of this discussion is that agriculture has a great deal of scope. India is on the right trajectory as far as technology and as far as talent is concerned. All we need to do is get a few right policies in place and give farmers the right kind of impetus. With that, we will see agriculture going back to its glory days. With that, it's a wrap. See you again next time.